Hey guys, it's 3sto and welcome back to another video. Now I know it's been like a week without a proper video, but we're going to be looking at some progress from my old builds up until now for my 5,000 subscriber special. Now thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. I didn't ever think I'd even reach 1,000, but you know, we got there pretty quickly and now we're at 5,000, which is insane. Remember, if you want to support me, you can join my Patreon. You'll get awesome rewards or whatever, but we're just going to start by looking at some of my old games, and hopefully this video can help inspire you guys to keep pursuing your dreams, keep learning, keep pushing forward, no matter if you feel like giving up, because this is pure proof of how far I've come in about 5 or 6 years on Roblox development, at least. We're gonna go ahead and look at some of the earliest stuff I've done, which is just kind of mostly free models and whatnot, but then we're gonna start looking at stuff where I actually started learning building, and you can see my progress there. Now, this was a tycoon I made way long ago. This is just using some free tycoon thing, but I was sort of placing free models around, and all these free models I placed myself, so I think it turned out pretty okay for just using free models. I made a nice layout, so it wasn't terrible. This next tycoon, called Cyber Tycoon, was more of my original building. I mean, I'd put these spheres around like the border, but I'd taken Zed's Tycoon kit, which is a little bit better than that old tycoon kit I had used in the previous one. And now I started making different floors using building. You know, obviously my increments really sucked. These didn't line up like at all, but I was sort of experimenting with making a tycoon and just kind of building, which now okay. Obviously it's rid of free models, but let's take a look at something where I actually started to build my own stuff, and that will be Draco's Hangout World. Now, a long time ago on Roblox, I used to go by the name Draco before I eventually picked out 3sto. But this is sort of a hangout game I was making where I just hang out, me and my friends, do some stuff. I never finished it. It was going to be sort of inspired by like Trade Hangout. As you can see, we have the old plugin foliage stuff. I made this statue, which I was really proud of. Very simple, just some parts, but this was kind of cool for what it was. I was very slow at building, so obviously you can tell I didn't get that far with that. But then I learned how to use unions, and I made this thing down here, which is a really scuffed sword fighting arena. We're just gonna go and move on to something that actually was really cool, that I was really proud of. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. This was Village. This was a it was called The Town Online. This is a game me and my friend were making way long ago. This is all smooth plastic now, but originally it was all materials. I kind of just, you know, saved a copy and kept working on some stuff. You can see these houses. I didn't actually make these houses or these trees, but I made some of the stuff like this farm here. And I made some props inside. I made like these tables and beds and stuff. So it turned out pretty cool. You got some buckets, you know, put a little union in there. I was really proud of this dock at the time, and this boat and these like crates and stuff as well. I also did this too, which turned out nice for the time. Hopefully hopefully I can show you more of that sometime, because there was more that wasn't on that place file, but unfortunately I don't have that. Skipping ahead a little bit, this was a minigames game I was making called Minigame Simulator. Now, I made this little lobby, and I didn't know anything about scripting, so you had some free teleport UI buttons, and there's this like invisible path you walked out on, which was really dumb. I was stupid and I didn't know how to script. But I did make this kind of sweeper thing. I was really proud of how that looked. It was pretty satisfying to look at. This lobby turned out okay. And then I was working on a Frogger thing, but that never went anywhere. What did go a little farther though was Bean Cafe. Now this is my attempt at making a cafe game back in like I don't know what's happening, or 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. And I was really proud of this. This was all parts, as you can tell. And I really liked how this was turning out. I have a version that's a little more complete than this, but I don't have it because it was under a group that I no longer own. But I thought this turned out pretty cool. I was proud of these little kind of display shelves, even though they sort of were on this side for no reason. And I did kind of like how the texture with all the parts looked. Now there is another game that I wish I could show you, but I don't have it, and the guy that owns the group never got back to me, even though he'd said he would give me access to it after many years. But it was a hotel game I made. It was for a group called Aquamarine Hotel, and I was really proud of how the hotel looked. And actually, Vibe Miami got some inspiration from like the hotel room layout. But I wish I could show that. Unfortunately, I can't. Hopefully someday you'll contact me. Sprung, I'm looking at you. Come on, man. Now, this was actually a map that I was making sort of for like a myth game. You guys ever gotten to those? But this was something I was extremely proud of. This was probably the most detailed build I'd done in like 2018. Now, I hadn't built much for the first couple years, like 2016, 2017, but 2018 was where I really started getting into it. I made this tree, which was really cool. I was really proud of that. I didn't make this bench though. I made all these rocks using unions, and this bridge was something I was so proud of. I really loved how this turned out. I really like how it looks too, and this gravestone and everything as well. But we're gonna skip ahead to another pretty cool thing that I made in 2018, and that was Operation Ace. Now, this was gonna be a story game that I wanted to work on, sort of story escape game. This was actually me first using scales for, or like humans as scale for references. So basically what you do is you would grab this key card, go through the door. I actually like how all these builds look. It kind of reminds me of like old murder mystery, mad murderer type maps and all that. But I was really proud of how this looked. I had trims on the bottom of the wall, had some cool lights. There's some scripts that you could crawl through these as well. But I never finished this. It would be cool to revisit this someday and make it in the same style because I really liked how this style looked. It was very small, but I was very proud of it. Going into early 2019, this was January of 2019 if I remember correctly. This was a normal neighborhood simulator. This is inspired by games like Delicious Consumables or other sort of roleplay meme games like that. We had some houses, we had some, we had Family Guy on the TV. We had this stupid, like, paintings in every house and everything. Yeah, I was just trying to, fit in with the, silly, simple meme games back then or whatever. Well, it does look pretty cool for what it is. I didn't go crazy with the detail because I wanted to keep that simple aesthetic. We do have a forest here, got a little campfire. Nothing crazy. There was going to be like a store over here, but this is my first time making, I guess, roads, which turned out okay for how they looked. And I actually measured this pretty accurately. I wish I could have done a lot more with this, like the silly car. But this was a fun little project that I did in about a weekend. Now this next one, I don't know why the lighting looks really bad, but this was the first simulator game I was ever making. Now this was called Hammer Heroes. This was also made by me and the guy who made that village map. Now, I was really proud of this. This was before I even knew Blender. These mountains were my first ever Blender model. And these hammers were all made in studio. These were all unions. Same with these houses. These houses were all parts as well. So the game was very, very laggy, but it did look really cool. These are all parts as well too. Now, I'm really proud of how this turned out because I had obby sections like this, and I was getting kind of better at level design. I really like how this cave zone looked. And this mine shaft was one of my favorite things I had ever built to that time. It's still one of my favorite things I've ever made for any simulator map. I just love the kind of aesthetic and style and time and effort I put into this. Even if it's horribly optimized, it still looks really, really cool for the time I had made it. And it's actually a pretty fun obby too, shortcuts and whatnot. This was inspired by Lumberjack Legends. Yes, that's what it was called. And then we have this snow zone, which never got finished, but I was starting to learn particles a little bit here. Also with these sort of swirling particles as well. We were going to continue this game, but it was too laggy and he didn't really know what he was doing scripting wise because he was still new at it too, but the game sort of worked. Now this is sort of jumping in the future a little bit, but this was another game me and him were trying to make called Road of Giza, which was sort of a remake, remaster, re-inspired version of old RPG he made a long time ago using that RPG kit that everyone used. Now, this was pretty cool. Unfortunately, never got finished either, because little old me, like 13-year-old me, 14-year-old me, kind of not that smart, didn't know how to finish a game and play it properly. But I did like how it looked. It was very similar to the other style, obviously use the same buildings, but that was that. Now, moving on to the best and probably only simulator map I've ever really done ever, which is the Super Slayers map. This was for Row Builder. This is actually before World of Giza, but this was for Row Builder. And this is the map you see in his Super Slayers game. Obviously, he added more stuff, but this is sort of the map he hired me to do. Now, I was super proud of this. I'd always been a fan of like open level layouts and stuff, so I thought this was really cool. I'm not really going to sit here and show you because you guys probably know what that looks like if you played that game. But I was really proud of it. It was like a really cool open world-ish type of map. And I definitely want to try doing something like that again instead of a linear simulator map. But this was another build I had done in 2020, I think. This was one of my favorite horror maps I had ever made. Probably the only horror map I had ever made aside from the new Freddy map that I made. But this was for my friend Edmund's game, Slaughter. Now, this was his first game, and I decided to make a cool looking map. Here's all like the cool future lighting and everything, but obviously he couldn't use future in the game because it was lagging into, you know, he already had some lighting, but this was really cool. This was where I got pretty decently familiar with level design, and this is still one of my all-time favorite maps I've ever made, despite it being so simple. And I just adore this map. You know, this is all like parts and stuff, but it still looks so amazing for how long ago I had made it. But this was also another game I did during 2020. This was for a winter game jam during 2020. Never got finished. It was sort of like a spleef sort of minigame over here, and it was sort of like this Christmas minigame themed thing. I still know the guys who worked on it with me, but it never got out, obviously. It was kind of cool. It was very short-lived, though. One of my most iconic maps, though, that a lot of people know me for, is this Among Us map that never was really used for anything. But this is probably one of my more popular maps, because I made this when Among Us was crazy popular back in 2020 or 2021. Yeah, so this was 2020. It was originally going to be a map made for this Among Us RP that I had that was doing pretty well at the time. And I didn't want to use the stupid free model map that I was using for the whole game back then. So I decided to make a new map, and this was planned to be used in a couple different games but never got used after many ghostings. But I'm still very proud of this map. It's one of my favorites. I just adore the simplicity and how accurate it is to Among Us, because it's probably one of the most accurate Among Us maps on Roblox. But anyways, that's that. Let's go start looking at what I did in 2021. We're starting to get near the more recent stuff, but also I have a lot more stuff. So I'm going to kind of skip through some of this stuff because you've probably seen some of this stuff like Find the Bananas or Freddy. But this was a castle commission I had done for some awesome people. I forget their names, but it was super cool. This is the most realistic build I've ever done. Let me fix my FOV real quick. There you go. Now, everything was decorated. Everything had interiors for the most part. Let me go find a building. This all had interiors. This was super cool. One of my favorite builds I've ever done. Not the most unique because it is very, very boxy. It's just like kind of some squares. But I do love how the map looks. There's a lot of foliage, a lot of decorations, and I really, really like it. And I don't think I'll ever make a castle map again after this one, but who knows? I really like how this turned out. It was pretty cool, and it was really fun to explore. You guys might be familiar with this next one. This is the old rooftop map, also made for admin. Give it a sec to load in. There we go. But this was the old map that was used for rooftop before I made the new one. Now, this one had a lot more charm and was more interesting with the use of props and grungy like decals and graffiti and all this stuff. So it really looked more worn down and used and kind of more downtown looking compared to the new modern one. But I'm really proud of this. This is my all-time favorite sports map I've ever made, even though I've only made a couple. And I think it will still stay at the top, even if the new map is bigger and I guess is more grand on scale. This just has so much more charm, and I really want to make a whole game in this style at some point. But if you haven't played Rooftop, go play it. You'll see the old map not there anymore, but the new map you'll be able to see, which I'll show you in a second. After I just show you this next map, here we go. This is a map some of you guys may be familiar with if you're a long-time channel viewer. And this is my all-time favorite build I've ever made on Roblox. Now, this is the Vibe Miami map. This is the most detailed, most unique, most aesthetic, cool-looking map I've ever made. And I really love this map to death. It's my favorite map I've ever made. I don't ever want to make another Vibe map, but I put so much effort into this map, and I absolutely adore it. And I never finished the new version. The new version kind of had expansions and stuff, and I never finished them. But just everything else looks absolutely stunning, and I'm super proud of it. And I wish Vibe Miami did better than it did. It was kind of dead, to say the least. But I really love this map nonetheless, and it'll go down in the 3-Stow history books as one of the best maps I've ever made. Before we look at the new rooftop map, there are a couple maps I won't be showing just because either I've done speed builds for them or I've done series on them like fixing World Builder's first game map and stuff like that. But here is the new rooftop map. It's very simplified compared to the old one, but it is way bigger and it is all sort of in one map. Now, you guys have sort of seen a video on this, but I just wanted to show it anyways, just because I showed the old one and I got to show the new one in comparison. This one was like a big kind of skyscraper in the clouds. We had a cool little inside area with some stores and whatnot and all that. So it was pretty cool. Got a locker room here as well, which is kind of the customization viewing area in game. Go play rooftop. I might link it. I might forget. But we're just gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the biggest maps I've ever done, which are gonna be Dead Winter 2 and this. Now, neither of these maps are sort of completed, but I can show assets for it, which I guess, you know, there you can kind of get an idea for the scale of it. But both of the maps are sort of getting reworks. This video is dragging on pretty long. I don't know if I'm going to edit this a lot, but I really wanted to make kind of a special video for 5K. And of course, what better way to do that than show off all my progress throughout the years. So it kind of takes me a while for this kind of video, but ignore the white boxes. These are just for kind of building a city. But Dead Winter 2 has the most buildings out of any game I've ever made. Like, I have made so many buildings for this over the last year, and it's still not finished yet. But the new map is getting worked on, and I definitely want to stream some Dead Winter development because we need to get hype for that game going. Go follow the social medias. I have it linked, whatever, because I won't forget that. But a bunch of city buildings. Some still need to be cleaned up and optimized. Bunch of houses, all sorts of military buildings and props, and you got a prison and a hospital and all sorts of stuff. Now, I really love this map, or these buildings, I guess, and I'm really gonna love this map because I think the direction the new map is taking is a lot cooler. I'm really proud with like how all of these builds turn out. I love this kind of radio tower thing. If you guys remember me streaming that for 3K, but we're gonna go ahead and take a look at Abyss now. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I wrote a notepad of maps I wanted to check out. Yeah, it looks like I got everything that I wanted to. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at Abyss. Now, Abyss isn't finished, but definitely go follow the socials for Abyss. But this is the map so far. Now we have a big city. We're starting another big city over there. We got lots of terrain. I didn't make all these buildings. I made a couple buildings for this, but you know, if I houses here. Let's go look at the prison because I absolutely love the prison. It's one of my favorite things about the map. Ambridge Prison. This looks awesome. Now, I can't take credit for this whole map, but I can take credit for a good amount of things here. I will show you the assets though, real quick. If I can find them. Yeah, here we go. Well, this is an old one. Let me pull up the new one, wherever it is. Here it is. Here's the new asset place, sort of with some of the assets. You've seen speed builds for some of these, like the police station and the power plant. Here's some other stuff. Here's a criminal base. Ignore the ugly lighting inside. It's just for the outside lighting, getting screenshots and whatnot. But made a bunch of cool buildings for this. There's more in the other place, but I don't really feel like opening that up. But last thing, before I forget, because this actually reminds me I have to finish this before we hit the 20-minute mark. We're going to look at some of my models too, just to wrap things up. Now this is, these are some assets for a game called Shovel Simulator by Mr. Chicken Rocket. Let me just pull these buildings into here real quick. There we go. Let me just pull the old buildings back in the folder real quick. Here we go. So these are my first, I guess, completely modeled buildings. This is a sort of house. Got a blacksmith, got a potion shop, and you got this mall exterior. Now this is going to be the mall interior. You just saw a brief second of it. Here's what it looks like so far. Needs a lot of work. Definitely looks awesome though. I'm loving the direction I'm going in with it. These escalators were a pain in the butt, but I can't complain. I love this potion shop interior though. You kind of saw this in my potion particle video. But that's really about it. There's a bunch more stuff I haven't shown off just because I wanted to save time, and there's stuff I haven't really felt the need to show off. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for 5K and peace.